Our boy Mason Mutz also ran a green tide list. Yes, this was a completely different event at Rocky Top Mountain Open. At this event, the top 3 org players were all more DACA players that went 6-0 undefeated. But in this case, he ended up I had him over here. He ended up getting 4-1-1. So he still ran all 6 rounds, still quite a positive record overall. And he was running War Horde with similar tech pieces like we just talked about. So, this whole stream has been giving credence and good credit and, attention to the fact that 20-man unit of Ork Boys are still and are back on the menu. The fact that the wall timing changed made that the impact that they can bring to the battlefield has been greatly increased. The fact that you can just simply call a wall and they get out and they go run at you when you want to at the time that you need them to, huge to impose your will on the battlefield. And that's something that we're seeing here again with Mason and bringing another War Horde list that still had 2 20-man unit of bricks, like we seen with Manny Chino with more DACA lists, 2-man, 20-man units of bricks, like we've seen with other lists over this past week, and of people just running either 1 20-man unit brick or 2 20-man brick. Get it on your mind that Ork Boy mobs are freaking awesome. If you don't want to run them, that happens too, though. But today we're just talking about how sick they are. So we have Ghazghkull Thraka followed by 2 Pain Boys, 2 War Bosses, and then another third War Boss. I like it. We have 2 20-man bot boys, a 2 trucks, 2 wagons with the fixins, the guns that are case, so that T12. Then we have 2 5-man units of burners. I do like that he found the points to pay for those little units of burners. A big 10-man unit brick of flashy Gitz because they want that DACA. A lot of the time when you're playing War Horde, you just really feel the fact that you don't have. Not sure about the 10-man unit. I think 2.5s has been a lot more valuable for me in the vast majority of my games, but I understand the appeal. But you're going to use your strat typically on other stuff, not Overwatch with flashes. But to each their own, typically, right? You're the one who's doing great out here. Then we have 2 minimum size unit of Gretchen, 2 mega knobs, and then a 5-man unit of knobs followed by a 5-man unit of Storm Boys. Shout out to our sponsors, the Baron of Dice, as they helped us do our wall tactic dice. So shout them out. Check them out in the description. 5% off in the discount because nobody likes taxes. And shout out to Baron of Dice. They allow us to do our paint competition. So thank you very much to them. So let's take a look at this path to victory because he had 6 games overall, getting 24th. But like I said, this might be how Ork players kind of develop and adjust, right? You running battle wagons, running miles of boys, and then whatever iteration, whatever detachment, you're going to kind of stick on top of that because boy mobs can go in a lot of different detachments, including Tactical Brigade and even Dread Mob. So we have his first matchup. And this was a super event. It was like 222 players. If I didn't show you up here at the top, I'm going to show you just real quick for any of you guys. 3 players going undefeated. And then our third boy, our favorite, Mr. Michael Mann from Art of War, getting 3rd place. Shout out to you, Mr. Michael Mann. But he said, the detachment needs to be nerfed, dude. This is crazy. So just saying it. Let's go into, just so you guys know, I don't think the battle wagons DACA is that awesome. So if you're gonna bring DACA, you need more than just battle wagons, in my opinion. But that might just be me. I get almost no value out of my DACA, my battle wagons. So for his first game, where he did end up getting a tie, he went into Angron Demon Prince with Helm of Brazen Fire. So this guy gets the ability to half damage. So keep in mind he has access to a Feel No Pain, then he has access to half damage, and then he has access to a strat that is -1 damage. So he can just really reduce even damage 3 to damage 1. It gets pretty annoying, but you can bring him down with this volume, grenade, stuff like that. I literally just played it day before yesterday. So then we have, but it is annoying, definitely very, very annoying. Then we have a second Demon Prince with World Eaters with wings, Demon Prince with wings. So one doesn't have wings and one does have wings. There's a difference in that, but the wing one just came down in points. So that's why people are bringing multiple because we see there's more of them on. He has a Berserker Glaive that's just for more volumes of hit, good sweep with strength 6, and then strength 11, big bash attack. Then another Demon Prince with Favorite of Corn for better rolls on their blood token thing or whatever it's called. These guys all do have a 2 armor save, and then another Demon Prince. Now, the reason to bring on these Demon Princes is because everybody figured out that if you screen them, you auto kill them, right? So Demon Princes, can simply fly over your screen. So you have to manipulate with your screens better, which are what big 10-man units can do, or even 20-man units if you're willing to sacrifice. Then we have 3 units of Jackals, followed by 1 big brick of Exalted Eggbound, a minimum size unit of Spawn, some Bloodletters, and then Scarbrand. So very, very much flying. I run at you, YOLO, crack you upside your head. But you would draw out a lot of their bigger units with battle wagons if you choose to allow them to become your sacrifices. You still have trucks, you still have grots. You even still have the flash kits, right? But like I said, you will need to set up these units where you stagger them in a way that if you are willing to sacrifice maybe 1 20-man unit of boys to all these Demon Princes and Angron and Scarbrand, that you can kind of set it out so if the enemy charges, he can't charge over your screen and land somewhere nicely. Or if you counter charge them, right, once you base fully and finish off one of these big demons or one of your demon princes or maybe Scarbrand himself, you can kind of move your 20-man unit mobs of boys away freely with the charges and take up more space on the battlefield to screen out better. So there are ways to still deal with these guys even if they're flying. But the fact that they have the flying potential means is easier said than done because there's not a lot of screens on Mason's list as typical orc units might have. Let's say if you had Sod, if you had 20 units of Grots that you might bring on lists like some weirdos do because they want to stop Call the Horde, and then not weirdo in the joking way, in a loving way, or just simply a lot of trucks. But the demon princes with wings, the flying guys do all play a factor, and of course whatever the mission may be would play a factor. So no shame there. Ty, with these Gitz killing stuff like Angron or Scarbrand could be problematic, and then other stuff fighting on death could be problematic and really swing things in game. Even for me, for example, like I said, when I played the last game before last, Angron blew up, killed 3 of my orc units on his own, and then critically wounded Tankbustas on his own, just from him dying on 6, dying on death. So those kind of games can be so chaotic. Not really sure what would happen there, but typically War Horde has an advantage there with fight on death. So I still think Orcs players should be confident going into that. When you're running typical archetypes, a lot of activation. Then we go into the second matchup, which is Salamanders, which can bring their own issues sometimes. And I appreciate the chat, y'all talking about the battle wagon a lot because it's something we see all the time in orc communities. How do you feel about the battle wagon? Let's take into context what your meta is, what you're putting in it, and how many of you are bringing and what terrain you're playing on, right? What sort of terrain? You can say GW, but I see some of you guys when I check Facebook and I check Discord and everything that you guys don't play with the bases under the terrain pieces that actually set the outline of what the firing might be, the firing lanes might be. You guys have different understandings than each other of what your table looks like and what context it actually brings. That's why I bring all this up. Yeah. So sorry, you guys maybe wanted to bring up something anyway. So we're just gonna say that anyways. So let's move on. So we have Adrex, Agathon, Bladeguard Ancient, Gravis Captain, and then Vulcan He Stand. So some buffs to your Meltas, your Flamas from this for +1 strength, and then you can get some throttling from this Ancient OC on some Blade Guard veterans. Then we have some aggressors, three 3-man units of Eradicators, followed by one big brick of Furnace Marines, so they can try to pull out those dead wounds, Infiltrator Squad, 2 Redeemers, and then 2 Scouts. This does come down to the fact that everything is quite easy to kill on their list for us org players, other than the Laterator Redeemers. But once if we can kind of manipulate where they invest their offensive output and where they stage their enemies, we can end up kind of dissecting their army. In that case, they don't have a lot of assets. Easier said than done, but that's typically how org players attack Space Marines. Is you kind of get in skirmish fights. They don't have a lot of stuff to skirmish. They overinvest. They think that they might be able to withstand us, and they don't, and they run out of activation for that. Keep in mind, throwing grenades, everything that you want to do, mortal wounds into these units does play a factor too. Eradicators don't just fall over. Land Raiders need that extra investment to kind of bring them down sometimes if Space Marines pop the defensive buffs on them. But he got the W there. Then we go into his third game. I think Salamanders are super cool. They're one of the armies I thought about getting when I was new into the hobby. So then he got his third game, which is Death God, Violent Tizarot. So he's Blade Company. This is an actual difficult matchup for org players a lot of the time that they've been dealing with when they were bringing multiple Nurglings and stuff. Let's see if they're here. So we have Biologist Putrefier, a Death Guard Chaos Lord, Death Guard Terminator Armor, Bob Blightspawn, Malignant Plaguecaster, and then Mortarion. One 5-man unit of Plague Marines, followed by a big brick of 10 Plague Marines. They're going to get the guy for fight first, and then they're going to get the critical 5+, so they get lethal 5+. 2 Rhinos, then a brick of Terminator Death Shroud, followed by a bloated drone, a floated bloat drone, Mephitic Blight Hauler, followed by 3 Plague Birds Crawler Flame Nerk Fire. Now, in this matchup, 20-man unit of boys can totally hold down Morty. That's great. Flip the objective, he becomes a non-fact. Then you go for his other scoring killing assets. He doesn't have Nurglings to make you -2 so that he doesn't make you incapable of fighting. The Death Shroud Terminators can be problematic. That's where you appreciate having Ghazghkull in that case. He has a Chaos Lord in Terminator armor, but he didn't bring the Sorcerer, right? If you bring the Sorcerer reduces damage by 1. These guys can still reduce damage by 1, but Gaz is still damage 4. So that could be cool. Mind you, if they put their indirect fire into your scoring assets, that could be a problem, right? If they start picking up your Storm Boys, maybe your Burna Boyz, maybe even your Gretchens on your home. Therefore, it might behoove you to maybe even stick in your home real quick before you start going up the field, jump in your wagon, and then go up in stage, that might behoove you to do that. Or sticky your natural expansion at some point if you're not really getting stuck in yet and you're kind of still staged up for turn 3 WAAAGH, just so that you feel confident that you can still hold your home, your primary, and continue to move up the field. Other than that, doesn't have a lot of activations, doesn't have a lot of things going on. Neither do you as the Orc player in this matchup, but the fact that you are able to stage with wagons and then spill onto the battlefield to these armies that don't have a lot of activations or volume means that you're holding the primary this entire time. You're manipulating that whole middle side of the field, right? Or a lot of the time where people would like to suggest is to summarize or to simplify the game status or the same game state is if I walk over and I look at it and there's that halfway point along the battlefield and the orcs on the other side of that halfway point on turn 3 and they have their 5-up invuln on, or they have a lot of durability traits, or they've killed enough of the enemy and they can continue momentum, then the orcs are probably going to win that matchup. So that's where orc kind of you play the slow game with the Burna Boyz, with the Gretchen, with maybe even the knobs, and then when it's go time, it's Ghaz, it's Pain Boys, and then the wagons stand up, continue either scoring secondaries, holding other faraway objectives, or tagging other units that maybe want to come and try to kill you but are getting stuck behind and it's just fighting wagon. So it does take some skill, and in this case he proved it because taking out Death Guard isn't always easy, and some people just kind of get stuck at that stat check or that kind of army. Then we go into this 4th game. Was that his 4th game or was it 5th game? I think I jumped one. Yeah, no, Leagues of Votann. Did I jump one, guys? Nope. He just played Leagues of Votann again. All right, so now he's playing Leagues of Votann on round 4. Yeah, Leagues of Votann, baby. I think orcs kind of do moderate to moderately well into Leagues of Votann. Then we got Zach Shuck with the $5 super chat. Whoa, my boy. He said, "Won to a GT this last weekend. For 2 games, I tried using 1 unit of 20 boys war boss with 2 war bosses in a wagon. It was a big mistake and got flat." Oh my god! I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you just because you said how it was a mistake. I assume you meant because it was just 2 war bosses, so you were like overkilling something, and then you're getting picked up right after. That's the value of the Pain Boy is your ability to draw all of the enemy's investment, draw enemy's ability to shoot you. They don't fully kill your unit, then they charge you sometimes, and then in that case, a couple dudes have survived. The war boss himself, a power claw, the Pain Boy himself, and is enough, and then you just clap them back. Or the enemy is now so out of position that you can pick them up after. But yes, the Pain Boy assures, or it leads to a more likely chance that they overinvest. So as much as I like the war boss, because it's hilarious, the point of the 20-man boys is not to kill, it's to do that. But that's hilarious. Thank you for sharing that with everybody, because I personally have said that in chat, in Discord, and forgive me if I inspired you to, because I was having a good time talking about it. So then we go into the next game, which is Leagues of Votann, which is Brokir Ironmaster, followed by a Iron Here champion. We have Earthguard Warriors, 2 units of those, more than you usually see. Normally one's fine. They kind of break apart, jump inside chars. 3 Sagittars for scouting, 1 big brick of Thunderkin, a big brick of their version of Terminators with their Volkite Disintegrators, the grenade launchers with blast, big issue for 20-man units of boys, so be careful of that. Sustain 2, big issue. 2 units of Hecaton Land Fortresses, 3 3-man Pioneers, and then the Jaegers for the reactive moves. And the Jaegers are too cool. Reactive move T5, maybe minor jelly for the point cost. That's fine. So in the Leagues of Votann game, what I always like to say is that you should be aware of what they want to do. They want to oath your favorite target. They can't oath what's inside of a transport. Therefore, if you don't give them their oath targets right away and you don't really give them stuff to kill, or you don't really kill too many of their units, then they are kind of running out of stuff that they can oath too well. Therefore, if you only kill Jaegers with something that you're already willing to let die, it means that they kind of like can't spread oath to stuff they want to kill. Then when it's your go time and you go run into them and the stuff that they want to oath isn't oathed yet and it isn't taking damage, so it's not so good on Overwatch sometimes for being wounded worse. And then on their counterparts, they're like, well, I didn't kill my first oath yet, and because I didn't kill my first oath, I didn't get the CP investment from that. So if you know their rules and kind of like their linear game plan, it can help you. But going first, going second, the mission, these are all gen factors as well. Not like it's just an easy game, but sometimes it can be that way because the momentum shift to Leagues of Votann kind of sway the game sometimes, and then that happens. 92-point win. Great job there on that win. But if you have a problem with Leagues of Votann, it's okay. They have weird toughnesses, and all the scouting and transport capability can be an issue too. So Mason seemed to be familiar and handled it well. Then we go into his second to last game, which is when he finally takes a loss because he hasn't lost up to this point, where he goes into Tau, which is the experimental prototype cadre. So we have Cadre Fireblade, Co-Star Battlesuit, and 2 units of 3 units of enforcers, followed by 3 units of breacher teams. Very, very annoying for Orcs players to deal with. These guys, crazy volume with strength 6, re-rolling, they can sustain, all types of stuff. And then they have 3 units of devilfish, so they get the scout, disembark these dudes, and just delete any amounts of like orc bodies pretty much on most objectives. Even like flash gets with the big mega armor, like they can clean those guys up. It's problematic for us. Then we have 2 units of crisis knife fire battle suits, a unit of crisis star battle suits, 2 hammerhead gunship, pathfinder, and then 3 units of stealth battle suits, the minimum size, and then a unit of vespid. Going second or first, infiltrator, no infiltrate. In my opinion, are big factors when you're going into Tau. I would find it more difficult to beat Tau without infiltrators than with infiltrators, is what I will say about this. A lot of the time, like I said, at videos, Mandos lead the way. Been talking about that since prior Nexus came out. I'm still standing strong on that. It's nothing new to us around here. But if you're new, I do suggest picking out, learning about commandos if you're going to events that are 5 rounds or greater. Not always bring them. Much more valuable in certain deployments and layouts, like on search and destroy. Deployment makes a big difference. On world leader matchups, it's a big difference. But and Taos a big difference. But it's one of those things that when we become familiar with what's being played and the diversity of the meta, if we lose more DACA, these are tools and units you might want to consider. I'm not saying that would have won him the game because there's other factors to beating Tau, but big thing there. And it's okay. Sometimes we just, I'm lost a Tau even with Mandos, so whatever. It happens. Then we go into his last game where he seeks vengeance, and he does get it, where he goes into the Imperial Knights of Noble Lands. We have Canis Rex, followed by the typical like 4 Helvrins, and then probably like 5 Warglaves, Clay Assassin, Emulator, Sister of Battle. Typical, just straight up what they're running right now. Pretty copy paste. They get in skirmishes. They split the Skisters units to 5-man units so they can score and screen. Emulator maybe does some cool Overwatch, and then Clay Assassin does some secondaries and does some more baby shenanigans. Pretty linear. It's cool. Really happy that he overtook that in the last round. Love to see when Orcs overcome Imperial Knights. And great job at being a big fat score of 96 points to that. So one last run on Makari's last stand War Horde list for Mr. Mason Mutz. He has Ghazghkull Thraka, 2 Pain Boys, 3 War Bosses, 2 20-man units of boys, 2 trucks, a battle wagon with 2 battle wagons with all the fixins, 2 5-man units of Burna Boyz where the Franners bought rockets, a 10-man unit of Flash Gitz, which I think is subject to 2 5-man units if you guys want, so that you can do more secondary scoring. You don't really have a lot of assets here in this game on this list. The 2 Gretchens, a Mega Knob unit with Twin Kill Saws, 5-man Storm Boys, and then 5-man unit of Knobs. I like the Knobs because, like I said, you're kind of slow playing the game, slow drawing, or using Knobs on the wall turn. You really deal with that problematic, this unit has a better armor save, maybe a higher toughness, needs a different kind of volume that the boys aren't bringing it. Maybe it's harder to actually get to than with the unit of boys and this 5-man unit of war boss, cover the distance quickly and actually get there. So I like that. And they can play the SWAT teams with the Burna Boyz on maybe the weak side of the battlefield where you just kind of harass the enemy and kind of just clearing off stuff off their objective, their natural expansion, near their home. That's where the Knobs come into play. So great tools there. Great job going 4-1-1 in the current meta, and I think Orc players will be proud of that and still be quite excited. Be a cunning it and check out our new order markers that are in our store. So shout out to you Gitz being cunning. Help you guys get all the orders set on the table nice and clean for all you Gitz to get stuck in. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!